Welcome back to the film room with this round 3 recap, and we're going to start with Barcelona versus Olympiacos. Olympiacos is back at home, and the series is tied 1-1, and the energy in the building was electric. Early in the game, Moses Wright had a couple big-time highlights, and this dump-off right here where he put it home. But Barcelona found a ton of success in this game playing through Vesely, specifically on pick and roll. But we're going to skip ahead to the last 2.5 minutes of the fourth quarter because of how much happened at the very end of this game. With 10 seconds left on the clock, Williams Goss attempted to get an open shot, loses the basketball, and Petrusha ends up throwing up a prayer from 35 feet that goes in and puts them up 4. You'll see on the replay that when he let go of the basketball, there was only 0.3 seconds left on the shot clock. You could not have written this up any better. And if you thought that shot was impressive, on the next possession, Vesely goes up for this dunk, and Moses Wright has one of the best blocks that has happened so far in the playoffs. Watch this in slow motion. So now with 16 seconds left in the game, Olympiacos almost gets a 5-second call. Then they get La Provitola trapped in the corner, and it looks like he's got no way out. He finds a way to get baseline and ties the game up. So on the ensuing possession, Nigel has an opportunity one-on-one to win the basketball game in front of the home crowd. He shot fakes, goes to hit this step through, misses it, and we're going to overtime. So fast forward to 2.5 minutes left, Barcelona is down 3, and they run this Spanish screen, which is where you engage the big and then have a shooter come and set a back screen on him so that when he goes to recover to his man, he can't get through the screen and the 5-man has a wide open opportunity for a dunk. And with a minute left, Thomas Walkup goes to shoot this tough mid-range floater, misses it, but Fall is right there for the tip back that puts them up by 3. The next possession resulted in a jump ball, and when Barcelona recovers it, the only thing that Olympiacos has to do is not give up a 3, and Satoransky hits a corner 3 to tie it up. So after the timeout, Olympiacos tries to run something to get Williams Goss downhill. He doesn't get an advantage and ends up shooting this tough pump fake 3, doesn't draw anything, and now Barcelona has a chance to win it. They're going to push it up the court, and Olympiacos with smart IQ fouls them to make them take it out of bounds. But on the next possession, what you're going to see is they end up fouling at the very end of the game, and Jabari Parker goes to the free throw line to shoot 3. He knocks down the first 2 and then wisely misses the next one, and Barcelona steals game 3. In the matchup of Panathinaikos and Maccabi, there's only one name that you need to remember from this game: Josh Nebo. Maccabi got up by double digits early in this game, and Panathinaikos was trying to chip away at the lead. You can see Kendrick Nunn hitting a tough mid-range that resulted in an and one, but every time something good went their way, it was Josh Nebo that found another dunk to keep that lead separated. Midway through the second quarter, Vildoza hits a 3 from deep to get this thing back to 7 and try and get some momentum going into half. But you can probably guess what happened a few possessions later. Ball goes into the post, they attempt to double team, and another Nebo dunk. And trust me, it didn't stop there. Right before the end of the half, there was this turnover on a bad pass out of the pick and roll, and off this missed layup, Nebo is there to put another one home. Now obviously Matthias Lasorte is a phenomenal athlete, but in this game it just seemed like there was no answer for Nebo. It seemed like every other possession they were finding an opportunity to hit Josh somewhere on the court and he was getting a dunk. And the defense tried to switch up coverages. At first they were hedging, then they started switching. None of it seemed to matter. So with a minute and a half left, Kendrick Nunn comes down off this ball screen and nails a 3 to put them within 1. And then just like the Olympiacos game, when Brown goes to shoot this 3, Grant fouls him and puts him on the line. Now Lorenzo's foot was on the line, so he's going to go and shoot 2 free throws. He knocks down both of them and gives them a 2-point lead, and Panathinaikos wisely takes their timeout and they're going to advance the ball to the other side. So with 2.5 seconds left, they decide to try and get Kendrick Nunn a 3 to win the game and steal one on the road, and this is what happens.
Cutting hard, Kendrick Nunn beats the end of quarter buzzer and draws that in, but he's short. As Maccabi play Tika Tel Aviv withstand the furious fight back produced by Panathinaikos.
Now moving on to the Cinderella story in Monaco vs Fenerbahce. This series is tied up 1-1, and early in the game, Guduric came out and made his presence known. He hit this tough step back three, and then a few possessions later, he comes down, waves off Scotty, and comes off of this ball screen, splits the defender, and goes in for a monster jam. So as we move to the second half, you had to know that at some point Mike James was going to do his thing, and he goes into this step back three that results in an and one 4-point play. And then a few possessions later, he finds Diallo in transition for this easy dunk. The way he dropped this ball over the defense getting back was a thing of beauty. So later in the third quarter, Scotty Wilbekin, who had somewhat of a quiet game, comes off this ball screen, gets downhill, and makes this tough finish through contact for an and one. And then at the end of the third quarter, Monaco cuts it to single digits as Matthew throws a really nice lob off of this dribble penetration. But the lob of the game was when they were running this sideline out of bounds play and they ran this decoy to the top of the key. This is going to be your lob threat, and what Matthew sees is there's nobody standing in help, and so as soon as he cuts to the basket, he throws a perfect dime for another lob. So with 2 minutes left in the game, as Fenerbahce is trying to seal this win, Guduric comes off of the ball screen, sees this slip, and they can feel it. They're only one win away from that Final Four. Now in this closeout game where Real Madrid is trying to sweep Baskonia, you can tell that Baskonia had something to prove. They came out early in this game, took a lead for the first time in this series, and they were playing with commanding fashion, and it was led by Miller McIntyre, who had a phenomenal game. Now late in the first quarter, Real's going to run that exact same Spanish screen where they're going to come and set a back screen on the guy who's guarding the 5, and that's what sets up Poirier for this dunk right at the end of the first quarter. Moving early into the second, Marcus Howard tried to shoot this tough three off of the floppy action. Nobody blocks out Cody Miller McIntyre, and he has this monster putback dunk. And then a couple possessions later, he gets this live ball steal, and that puts them up by 10. But later in the second quarter, Real starts to make their push as Vincent Poirier gets another lob, and that puts it within 6. But Baskonia did something that they haven't done in the first 2 games, and that was create live ball steals that led to these runouts. And all the way through this third quarter, it looked like Baskonia was playing with so much focus that they were not going to give up this sweep. But there's a reason that Real Madrid is the #1 seed. And here comes Campasso late in the third quarter, and he gets it within 1 on this transition layup, and you can tell by the look on his face they're not trying to go to a game 4. So in the fourth, Baskonia is down by 2, and they make a bad decision to overrun this closeout on Yabusel, who's not really a 3-point shooter, and now it's a 4-point game. So with 25 seconds left, Campasso does what he does best. He finishes games. So down by 5, Baskonia tries to get a quick 3, and Marcus Howard gets a great look at it, but that's ball game, and that's the sweep. Real Madrid is headed to the Final Four. Hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit that button. Thanks for coming through. We'll see you next time in the film room.